Tonight, in the Alfred Hospital's intensive care unit.
Jacob was driving and didn't quite make it and hit a truck.
You know, we were told to prepare ourselves for the worst.
Oh, mate.
Took 15 months, I think, before they actually put her onto the transplant list.
I was so scared actually going to sleep that I was never going to wake up again.
I worry that she's not out of the woods just yet.
I understand it was a gas heater that exploded.
When I climbed into the ambulance and saw his face and hands, I was convinced he would die.
The sickest patients, the most advanced technology, medical care second to none. It's always a matter of life or death. "21-year-old Jacob lives life to the full.
Live life to the extreme, yeah!
But 2 days ago, Jacob ran head-on into a truck. He's now in the trauma pod in the Alfred's ICU after doctors worked for hours to save his life.
Jake is a young man that was involved in quite a serious motor car accident, and he suffered multiple injuries, including chest and abdominal injuries and long bony fracture injuries.
Incredibly, Jacob had 20 separate injuries, including bruised lungs, fractured ribs, bruised kidney and cuts and tears of the liver, spleen and colon. He also had cuts and fractures to his right leg, knee, ankle and foot, and his little toe was torn off. His lacerated liver was bleeding so much that half of it had to be taken out.
We had a chance to see the car and, yeah, I mean, our heart sank. We didn't think we would see Jacob. Yeah, so one of the nurses here came in and just told us that Jacob's in a critical condition. We needed to be prepared.
His injuries are life-threatening, there's no doubt about that. There is the potential for him to have a brain injury. He had massive blood transfusion while he was in theatre. His blood was probably replaced by his entire volume 3 times in the time he was there. They also operated on his leg, and then he was brought to us here in ICU. Mainly his biggest risk at this point is ongoing bleeding and whether we can actually control it.
He's been really strong, well done. So proud.
Jacob's parents can see him and touch him, but there is every chance they still might lose him. Rachel's just arrived in the cardiothoracic pod after a lung transplant.
Can I have a feel of your hands, Rachel?
Rachel's got a rare condition, which is primary pulmonary hypertension, basically a high blood pressure in the lungs.
Rachel's condition stops her from absorbing enough oxygen, and it's eventually fatal. The only cure is a lung transplant.
She was diagnosed with that 3 years ago. Took 15 months, I think, before they actually put her onto the transplant list, and we've now been waiting 15 months.
This morning at 5 a.m, that terrible wait came to an end.
When the phone rang at home, I knew straight away. Rachel was on the phone. I heard her say, yes, yeah, I'll do this, I'll do that. When I went in, she was crying, and I knew it was time. Excuse me. And I said to her, well, this is what we waited 15 months for. You know, she was in so much aches and pains and chest pains and tablets and everything she had to take, and, you know, she can only probably walk 100 metres before she has to stop. She doesn't go out. I mean, she basically stays at home.
Rachel's operation took more than 6 hours. She had both her faulty lungs removed and replaced with donor lungs. Surgeons used microscopic stitches to attach her airways to the new lungs.
Right heart held together really well, and we were able to just... It's such a major, major thing, but it's going to be, for her, it'll just make her quality of life so much better. These are all nicely kept off and clean.
Everyone hopes Rachel's new lungs will do their job, but there are no guarantees. If something does go wrong, Rachel's best chance is here, in the expert care of the ICU.
The immediate concerns are that the oxygenation in the lungs remains adequate. As they settle in, that there's no excessive bleeding related to the surgery or the immediate post-operative period, and we keep her rested, stable and sedated initially while these things are sorted out.
So far, Rachel's oxygen levels are good. Her new lungs are holding their own.
As each day goes along,
Rachel's chances of doing well get better and better, obviously, but I'm still worried that she's not out of the woods just yet.
There's still always that in the back of your mind that maybe there will be rejection, there will be something may not, go right, and Rachel will be back to where she started from.
Stephen's right to worry. A routine X-ray will show Rachel's new lungs are full of secretions. Back in the trauma pod, Jacob's mum and dad didn't think they'd see their son alive again.
Jacob was driving home and getting ready to go to work and, didn't quite make it. Hit a truck. We think that it was either head-on or part-way head-on. Certainly the right side of the car and right side of the truck have connected.
When we got to see him for the very first time, it was just... you just realise, how precious your kids are.
Jacob has survived against the odds, but staff in the ICU are worried he isn't waking up.
It's now 3 days post him coming into hospital and he hasn't started to wake fully yet. What can happen is edema, which is swelling of the brain. There's the shaking of the brain can also cause the brain to swell. Also, because his blood was very thin after the massive blood transfusions, he has the potential that he could have had a small bleed into his brain, and that's what we'll be looking for.
Jacob's off to have a CT scan of his brain. His doctors need to know why he's taking so long to wake up. Three days ago, Rachel got a new set of lungs. She's still sedated and hasn't taken a breath on her own. Now, a routine X-ray shows that her new lungs may be collapsing.
Their original chest X-ray looked very good, but there's bibasal collapse suggestive of possibly some infection. So we're having a look down to see if there's some mucus plugging. Obviously, she can't cough while she's ventilated, and it's sometimes hard to clear the secretions. So we'll just pop the scope down. So we're just coming down the endotracheal tube now. We go straight down the left lung, down the left main bronchus. Quite a few secretions down there, actually. Let's just give a wash there and suck them out. The more mucus is around, the more infection will breed and get worse. Actually, it looks very good. Joint looks good, and the airways look good once you've sucked the stuff out. And we might have to do this again in a couple of days if she's not extubated and coughing herself.
In a nearby cubicle, Ray is having his dressings changed 3 days after he was burnt in an explosion at a friend's house.
I understand it was a gas heater that exploded. He has about 15% of his skin tissue is burnt. To his face and his hands, to the back and to his buttocks. Some of that is full thickness and some of that is only partial thickness.
In places, Ray's hands were burnt down to the bone. Surgeons took skin from his thighs and grafted it to his hands to help them heal.
The way that they actually secure the grafts is with staples. So there are many, many staples in these areas. So we've got to take those out to allow better healing.
Ray was very lucky the burns on his face didn't need skin grafts. Instead, the treatment is much simpler.
This dressing here is actually a synthetic nylon sheath that has some pig collagen in it that helps it actually adhere to the skin. And this is just like a temporary cover. And what happens is as the skin starts to heal underneath, the actual BioBrain lifts off. The idea is that hopefully that it'll all be healed and this will all be off in 10 days' time.
For Ray's wife, Kate, it's been a terrible shock.
Initially, it didn't look like he was that bad because I saw his shoulder here where there was no damage. But then when I climbed into the ambulance and saw his face and hands, reality really hit then. His hands were just like plastic falling off and his face was, and I tried not to cry because I didn't want him to see me upset, and it just felt terrible.
Ray's sedated and on a breathing machine to protect his airways.
Burns can be really quite nasty, and not only do they cause the skin to be injured, but they injure a lot of the other parts of the body. His main problem at the moment is his lungs and his airways were quite swollen, which means that he can't breathe, and that made his condition far more critical, and he needed, therefore, to come to the intensive care.
Ray is very unwell. It could be days before the swelling goes down in his airways.
But he's been on lots of sedation. He was on 10 and 10. We're down to 5 and 5. So that was all day yesterday.
Jacob's still unconscious 4 days after a head-on collision with a truck.
He's having a tough time, isn't he?
But he's made some progress.
In the last 24 hours, he's not requiring as much support. The major concerns will be whether he develops infection. Many of his wounds were very dirty when he came into hospital, so he's at quite a risk from an infection point of view. And also, waiting to see him wake would be much happier when he's more awake.
So far, Jacob's been totally unresponsive. His mum and dad are terrified he won't wake up.
Very stable.
Oh, mate.
Oh, hello.
Hello, mate.
There you go. He likes your voice a lot more than mine.
Oh, Jacob. Hello, buddy. Oh, mate.
Nice to see you this morning.
Good on you.
Oh, you're doing so well, honey.
Oh, mate.
Put in the biggest fight over the last few days. You're doing so well.
Oh.
Oh, how precious. Wow, you've just given us the best present this morning.
Oh.
Wow, you look great. Wow. It's been a while since he was opening her eyes more.
He's doing very well.
Gosh.
It's taken a long time to start waking.
Okay.
Now, that could be related to the fact that his liver's not working terribly well because of the injury it's had, and he has had a lot of drugs to keep him relaxed while he's been with us. He's not bringing his hands up to the tube or squeezing hands or anything like that yet. So hopefully it's just a bit slow. He's taking a while to get rid of those drugs. But his body's taken a fair pounding, so we're just going to make sure there's nothing going on there that we... Wow. But that's the best he's done, so I'm quite pleased, Jacob.
Well
Good boy.
Amazing. You're amazing.
Well, we had the best gift ever this morning. Jacob, realised that his mum and dad were there, and he opened up his eyes, and just an absolute magic experience. So I guess, you're always living in hope, and it's, minute by minute time, hour by hour, and since the morning that we found out that he'd been in a serious car accident and it's unlikely to live. So to see his face and to see that he's opened up his eyes, just an absolutely beautiful moment.
It's been a great day for Jacob's mum and dad, but his doctors won't know how damaged his brain is until he's fully awake. Five days ago, Rachel was brought to the Alfred Hospital's intensive care unit after a double lung transplant.
Take a big breath for me, please. That's it.
The ICU team has been able to wind back her sedation, and she's awake and responding.
Yeah. Okay, your breathing's a lot better. We'll get the breathing tube out pretty soon. All right? It's all going well.
Having the breathing tube out will be a huge step forward. It means Rachel will be flying solo. For her mum and dad, the moment can't come soon enough.
Now we should be right to extubate us. What we'll do is we'll get you guys to step outside just for 10 minutes. So we can wean off the sedation, let her wake right up, and just assess that she's right to have the tube taken out. If that's right, we'll take it out.
Great.
Yep.
The sooner we let you get your job done, the quicker we get back in here again.
This is it, the big test for Rachel's new lungs.
Take a big breath and then have a good cough.
We needed to check that she was able to cough, so we needed to turn her sedation down, and when we asked her to, she coughed effectively.
Big breath, and then when you cough, that's right, then the tube will come out.
It's a huge step for Rachel. She's got to trust her new lungs will work.
Let's give you a bit more oxygen.
It's okay, we're about to take it out, Rachel.
Having that support taken away from her, it was quite scary for her. She had to start breathing on her own a lot more, and each breath she took, she sort of gained a little bit more confidence.
You're doing very well.
But it was sort of one breath at a time for a while, straight after the extubation. But with every breath, got her closer to getting out of here, out of the ICU.
You can breathe properly a bit better, eh?
Rachel's long ordeal is finally over. Her new lungs are doing their job beautifully.
Just relax, love. Just relax. On the road to recovery, Dale.
Whereabouts is the pain?
It's now 5 days since Ray was burnt in a gas explosion at a friend's place. The swelling in his airways has gone down and his breathing tube has been taken out.
He'll probably stay with us for another 24 hours just to make sure he doesn't develop any further airway swelling. But he'll probably go up to the burns unit and obviously being looked after by the plastics and the burns nurses.
Ray's definitely getting better, but he may never get back the full use of his hands.
Burns to the hands are very difficult, and you need a lot of physiotherapy and occupational therapy afterwards to get the return of function. So I think that will be a longer-term problem for him.
And how are they feeling in themselves?
Oh, they feel a bit tight and that, but, but they're getting better. On someone else.
3 weeks later, Ray's face and hands have been transformed.
The important thing that you do is what we call the scar management massage. So it's just really important that we keep that nice and soft.
So all I know is that I was blown up. I think I was at the front door and I got blown across the garden onto the other side of the road. That's what I think happened. I don't think I was going to make it. I thought I was dead. Definitely thought I was dead. Yeah.
They're looking really good.
Yeah.
Just a few little pockets there that need to heal up a little bit more.
It's been a tough few weeks, but Ray reckons he couldn't have ended up in a better place.
Yeah, words can't express what these people do. Nothing would be able to repay them for what they've done for me. It's just nothing. It's incredible. I just never met people like it before, ever.
Jacob, I'm Alex. I'm one of the doctors. Can you open your eyes for me?
6 days have passed since 21-year-old Jacob almost died. He crashed head-on into a truck.
Squeeze my hands for me. That's great. Relax. Jacob, can you lift your arms off the bed for me?
A CT scan has cleared Jacob of serious brain damage, and he's starting to wake up.
You're very safe, OK, Jacob? Like I said, you're in the Alfred. Jacob's day 6 with us now. From an orthopaedic surgical point of view, he's had all of his operations that'll be needed up until now, and obviously waiting for him to wake up and see that he's appropriate, which we never know until we stop someone's sedation and take the tube out.
That's nice.
That one. There's a couple of good ones at QSD.
Jacob's family and friends have spent days at the hospital hoping for good news.
Thumbs up. Good man.
Now Jacob's on the mend. It took more than 100 donations of blood to save his life. But Jacob's been a blood donor since he was 18.
He just wouldn't miss it. He just realises the importance of giving blood, and now he's been the recipient of it. It saved our son's life, and yeah, we owe many, many people many thanks for donating blood.
Well, he's just started opening his eyes and he's breathing on his own. Amazing for 6 days in, and, you know, we were told to prepare ourselves for the worst when he first came in.
Jacob's incredibly lucky to have come this far, but he may never be the boy he once was.
You know, we're so proud of him and he's done so well.
One week after having her lungs transplanted, Rachel's got some great news.
I've actually got a bed on the ward. I can get out of this ICU. Not that the girls haven't been great. They've really helped me. I'm going to have to thank them when I get out of here.
How long and you'll be home?
Yeah.
The thing I'm looking forward to most of all is that she's going to now have a quality of life. She'll be able to get out and do things.
I was so scared actually going to sleep that I was never going to wake up again. I still have doubts every night when I go to sleep that I'm not going to wake up, but I seem to wake up.
Organ donation is just the most wonderful thing in the world, and it's been, and it's great for us. Great for us.
All right.
It's only 2 weeks after Jacob almost died in a terrible car accident. Today's his first physio session.
Tighten it up. That's it, push forward. Let the left leg bend. How's the head? Dizzy?
Head's fine, just
Short of breath?
just really concentrating on
Good. Yeah.
trying to sit up.
That's all right. It'll probably be a couple of weeks before you're even ready to really even start standing and transferring into a chair easily.
Yeah. It sucks.
Have a rest, that was the first step.
Thank you.
It remains to be seen if Jacob will get back to jumping out of planes. But for now, he's very grateful to be alive.
I feel that I'm a very lucky person to be able to have an accident like I did and come out of it, so well. I've got 5 days of no memory. Don't remember driving to work or leaving to drive to work. I remember the night before it, went and saw the new Terminator movie. And then I remember 5 days after that. I was going along and there was a car in front. I veered out 30 centimetres over the white line and it was on a blind corner. And a truck came the other way. And bang. My mum and dad have been amazing. They've been here every day. And my sister and my girlfriend. So without them, I wouldn't be looking so good.
Next time, in the Alfred's ICU.
She was getting really bad headache.
This is all pus along here. If we don't drain it, that's a threat to her life.
Get well.
Clint, open your eyes.
He collided with another boy on his bike mid-air.
That bit there should be stuck to that bit there.
He's behaving as if he has what we call septic shock. Body's organs shut down because of infection. If we didn't do anything about it at the moment, I'm sure Les would die.